Welcome back. The U.S. is increasing pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. 4 U.S. officials told Reuters that the United States is preparing to launch a new phase of operations against Venezuela in the coming days. U.S. military has deployed forces to the Caribbean amid worsening relations with Venezuela to combat what the Trump administration says is Maduro's role in the flow of illegal drugs coming into this country, mostly by boat. Let's discuss with our guests, retired CIA operations officer, intelligence expert Rick De La Torre, glad to see you, and former senior advisor to DHS under Mayorkas, retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Berney Flowers. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
Welcome, guys.
So, Rick, how close are we to a really direct confrontation with Venezuela? And what risks should Americans be watching for?
Well, we're certainly closer to it today than we were yesterday. The timeline is completely controlled by the president in this theater. Certainly, he's given the Maduro regime plenty of opportunity to make, I guess, the right decision here and turn over the country back to a democracy. But the pressure will continue to escalate, I suspect. You don't move this much resources into the Caribbean basin to just come back empty-handed. As for what Americans or additional signs to see, I think the staging is already complete with allied nations that are extremely near Venezuela, and also the support and supply lines that need to be established. That's
sure,
already
that makes a perfect sense.
there.
But, Rick, you said that this was being done because they want to see Venezuela return to a democracy. I thought the purpose of this was to stop the flow of drugs in these boats to our borders.
Well, that's correct, but I don't think that's going to happen under this regime, under Maduro. I mean, for the last decade, all he's done is made deals with every drug lord in Colombia and every gang leader in Venezuela, as long as he and his immediate circle get to profit from it. So
that's a good point.
That's not going to change.
Yeah. So, Colonel, I want to get your thoughts in here. Now, given Maduro's role, obviously, in this drug trafficking, what's the possibility that the U.S. will move more toward a ground deployment? Do you see that as a likelihood, and how much so?
Betsy and TW, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Ground deployment, I would hate to see that. That's some rough country, and we'd have to do a beach landing. We have capabilities, you know, we have the high ground with our air capabilities and our naval capabilities. You know, we could even do a blockade. There's lots of options, but let's not go to war. Let's not put American troops at harm's way, because nobody wins in that situation. Let's hope that we never go to war. The idea is we have the capability to starve them and cut off their ability to do trade. So let's do that.
That sounds like sensible advice to me.
Yeah,
Deterrence, right? Let's pivot, because there's another war already going on, taking many lives. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky delivered one of his strongest public warnings to date in response to a U.S.-backed, I don't think that's true anymore, 28-point peace plan to end the Russian-Ukraine war. Take a listen.
This is one of the most difficult moments in our history. Currently, the pressure on Ukraine is one of the hardest. Ukraine may now face a very difficult choice, either losing its dignity or the risk of losing a key partner, either 28 difficult points or an extremely difficult winner.
Rick, how would you characterize that strategic political constraints that the President Zelensky is facing in evaluating peace proposal that actually may require concessions that Ukraine will ultimately find unacceptable?
Right. And you know, the president has made it clear from the beginning that you know, this isn't a deal for him to accept, right? You know, the American doesn't have to accept a deal or make the deal. We're trying to get two warring parties that hate each other to the table and to decide something. And that means concessions have to happen on both sides for there to be a deal. And I think Zelensky sometimes, you know, in the past, he's overplayed his hand, especially with the Europeans. And nothing fair
Sure.
about war, right? They're going to have to make some
exactly
real
right.
deep soul searching.
Let me just point out that new news from Marco Rubio himself says this plan was a Russian wish list leaked to the press. It is not the president's proposal.
Wow.
So
That's new. That's new news. Yeah,
that's
for
new
sure.
news, and that means we don't know what that means,
That's
right?
right.
The U.S. hasn't weighed in on this yet. Thank you, Rick and Colonel Flowers.
Let's get to Colonel in.
Yeah.
I want to get his one question for you, Colonel, about 30 seconds. I mean, how likely do you think this peace plan is to happen, and how close are we to peace by some other means?
Bottom line is this is Joe Biden's war. Thousands have died. We have spent $200 billion. We can't afford this anymore. And the president ran on closing down this war. So one way or the other, this is going to have to come to a stop. And the Saudis are willing to bring in their military or their financial muscle to help this thing come to an end. We got to stop this. We've got too many wars, and our president ran on stopping wars. So all about making this go away.
Right.
I think you're right in line with President Trump.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rick Delataro. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel Berney Flowers. We appreciate your insights, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.